Okay. All right. Well, as you can tell, this was largely a community effort, I think, in a lot of ways. So the first thing I want to do is turn it over to you all to make sure that everybody gets their due pushing. Simi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're so wonderful. You're so beautiful. Thank you. I want to thank first ReelAbilities and Izzy and Ravid and Ariana for putting up this festival. In particular, thank you to Anita Altman, and thank you so much, Terry and New York Women in Film and Television, for supporting us throughout this effort. In particular, also a big thank you to Alina Abbas and our beautiful foundation, who has helped us for a long, long time, has given us 2 awards, and we are just very grateful for this. This has been a big family screen. Simi's family is here, my family is here, but most important, the family of the disability community is here. And I thought, you know, when we started this project 7 years ago, I had an idea what disability is. Simi told me she knows what filmmaking is. And during these years, we ended up, I think, teaching each other. I gave Simi some lessons on filmmaking, but most of all, I got a full course of disability studies over 7 years. While making this film, Simi, in the beginning, told me, I don't want to make this film about me. And Simi, being Simi, often told me, this can't be, and just keep me out of it. So my response was, you know, we had kind of agreed this should become a biopic, and that she is in the center, but without the center, there's no movie. So after a long creative collaboration of, you know, over 7 years, and looking at the finished product now, I must say actually that we have been both right. The film is about her as much as it is about you, the disability community. And that was the most important point, which Simi always tried to bring across very successfully, and taught me that you can tell one person's story, but actually tell a story about a whole group, community, and we made the film in a way for you. Thank you, Simi.
Thank you.
There are quite a few people here in the audience I would like to briefly introduce. They have worked in front and behind the camera. And let's start with behind the camera. Maybe you can just raise your hand, and when I've finished with all these names, we give them a big hand. There's Ben Wolf, the DP, Director of Photography, Kristen Luthier, the editor, Ian Love, who has made the beautiful music, John Craddock and Alison Lucas, the associate producers, Pam Demetrius, our sound editor, Dominic Tavella, our mixer, and further in editing, Holly Rodrigues, Linda Hattendorf, John Halpern as an additional camera person, and last not least, our wonderful legal counsel, Wilder Knight, and Sebastian Kaupert for making everything look good. Thank you.
And Christian's narrative of how our film came about is largely true. It was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful collaboration. And not that I'm self-effacing, but I didn't want it to be a biopic because I didn't want to lose community. And there was a turning point in our conversations when I said, Christian, I don't want this to be a biopic. And he said, it's not a biopic, it's the biography of an idea. And when he said that, everything came into place. Part of the community that is represented in our film and represented here today, I'd like to introduce, my darling cousin Scott Swimmer up there, Leslie Fry, where is she? Hey Scott, where's Leslie? Okay. Chris Baswell from Barnard, Ralph Kaplan from the School of Visual Arts, the adorable Lawrence Carter Long.
That hair, oh my God.
Alice Shepard. Heidi Lasky of Heidi Lasky Dance. Artistic Director of the Gym Project. Michelle Montillon, where are you? Everybody's loved David Linton. And two of the most astute political minds that I know and have the pleasure of marching with, Nadina Lasmina and Danny Roberts.
So, it was a short amount of time,
Yes.
sadly, and y'all are just gonna have to go with me here if I get a little emotional. That's just the way it's gonna be. You said that in the film, that dance is a public expression of pleasure and of freedom. I think the same could be said for the film. You know,
Thank you.
it brings that, everything that you've talked about there to life. Right? It gives you an entry point in, and I'm wondering, talking about how the project came to be, right, and how you decided to go in the direction that you decided to go. In 7 years, what's the goal? What are the doors? What's the new directions? What are the avenues that you're trying to open up with this film?
You can't just stay in the evening.
Well, I start and Simi continues.
Please.
Well, once more, it was very important for us to really devise an insider's view. And in order to get there, we probably, I don't know, had 4 or 5 versions which we every time threw out and started from scratch again. And in particular, Kristen, our editor, had lots of suffering to do until we came to that point where we said, I think now we slowly are getting somewhere. And we sometimes, professionally, because we also do other things, had to put the work aside, but that helped to have a few months to think about it and come back to the editing table and look at it again and rearrange stuff. And always in between, I was reading Simi's books, I was reading other people's books to learn as much as possible about community activism and disability. And Simi, you know, when I finally said, oh, I think we have it, you know, looked at it and said, it doesn't work. So, you know, Simi always had the last word. And we are here to it.
Are any of us surprised about that?
And I think, you know, I'm very proud that we could work that way.
You know, Christian said that he taught me a lot about filmmaking, and that's true. But also, And we're not answering your question. I understand that, Lawrence, and that's okay. Give us this moment here. Christian taught me a great deal. He grew up in post-war Germany with a father with a significant disability and was involved in the anti-psychiatry movement and much of the reaction to the Holocaust and what had happened to disabled people during the Holocaust. And it was really bringing those two experiences and perspectives together that I think really enriched the film very much. Now, where we're going with this is we are looking right now for the best platforms and the best kinds of distribution that money can buy. And we're broke and excited and defeated and elated and alternate Tuesdays. And it's a big, bad, woolly world out there, and we want to get the film out there, and we want to reach audiences like you and audiences that have never thought about disability this way. And how we're going to do that and the way we're going to do that is our secret. For now. Right? Would you go with that?
Yes. But also, I think it's important, that's why I started out actually, that it's an insider's view. Because I think this is a film which shows, you know, many people, and that has been our experience in past screenings before we decided, yes, this is the version we can show. That people, everybody came out of, I mean, the audiences made lots of remarks that we didn't know this, we never have heard about this, this is something new, and we felt that's where we want to lead.
Open, yeah, it's open the door. Invite people to dance. Questions out there? People got things they want to ask? Anybody got a burning question? Yeah.
First of all, there's one word for this whole thing. Bravo! A woman in a great marriage with a great man. I ask you, Simi, what was the one moment when you knew that David was going to stay forever?
I'll talk for I don't know.
Make the sequel.
David, we could ask the same of you, you know. Let's see. Other folks? Other things? Karen, yeah.
Do you have any, do you have lots and lots of B-reel of stuff lying around? Because I remember being in a lot of places where a lot of that was filmed, and there was so much stuff. Do you have extra stuff? Can you put out extras?
Well, eventually it would be great if we can develop our website, and one of the ideas is to use lots of that footage of about 150 hours and be also segments which we have taken out of the film and use it in new ways and put it out on the internet and VOD and have people, you know, kind of start some kind of education or even just, you know, to show what pleasure is also on the website about disability.
Yeah, there are lots of small films that short films that could be made that focus on particular domains with the material we have. There's a question in the middle.
Hey, beautiful.
Thank you, Judith.
I won't say it's inspiring. Okay. It's not inspirational. It's beautiful and it's artful. One thing that I thought of, and when you were thinking about distribution, I mean, in the way that you all were in the Guggenheim, and that amazing discussion that you had about design. It seems like this movie has the potential, and then the end, when you're challenging the taxis, there's this amazing potential to influence cities and buildings that have to renovate, and museums, to sort of think about their spaces in these radical new ways that they would never have with even just a demonstration, but the whole movie plus. So I hope that that's something that really happens with this film all across the country.
Yeah.
Is there a plan for that? I mean,
there are many plans, Judith, and certainly from local municipalities to schools of architecture to government entities, these are all critically important. And a lot of what we have, a lot of the material that we had to cut, even in the last round of editing, had to do with design. And I'm looking at Ralph Kaplan over here from School of Visual Arts, and I'm looking at David Chapin there, teaches the psychology of something like that, and he's an architect. I know that they're looking for that material, and we'd love to be able to give it to them.
So is it that time, Isaac? I'm getting the eye.
I'm very sorry, and I think this conversation should continue, and I think it should be more than just talk, but also possibly dance a little.
Right on.
And that should go on upstairs in the lobby and the reception that my booth is providing.
Fantastic. So we're going to thank everybody for coming out tonight. One final thing that I personally don't have a problem with inspiration as long as it's involved with perspiration. That some work went into it, and you could see that work, and you could see the product that came out of it. And I think you've got the aspiration, the perspiration, the inspiration all right here. And I don't think I've ever said that about any film. So thank you.
Thank you all so much. Our next film